Hi friends, welcome to 1 Minute Math. Today we're going to be graphing lines. This is not the short little 1 minute brief explanation. This is the full length explanation of how to graph lines. This is an Algebra 1 concept talking about if you're given an equation of a line, how do you produce the graph that goes with that line? So let's jump right into it. Usually you're going to be given the equation of a line in this form, which we would call slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. And in this equation, in this form of the equation, the number that's attached to the x, the m number, is the slope, and the number that's not attached to the x, the plus b at the end, is the y-intercept. And those two numbers are going to be what helps us to sketch the graph of this line. So now, normally in math, we start from the left and go to the right, but here in y equals mx plus b land, I'm going to say start from the right and go left. Start with this last thing, the plus b part. In this case, plus 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the y-intercept, not the x-intercept. So I'm going to go on the y-axis up to the point 0, 4. You just go as high up as the point as the number is right there, whether it's positive or negative. If it's negative, we go down. If positive, we go up. And now from that point, that is going to be the point that I start at to do this slope. So hopefully you remember what slope is. If not, you can go back and look for my slope video where I explain exactly what this number means. It basically measures the up and the over of my line. The top number of this fraction, the top number of the slope, tells you how much vertical change there is. So from this point, I'm not starting down here and going to 2, but from this starting point of my y-intercept, I go up 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to go to the right 3, 1, 2, 3, and I get a second point. I'm going to do that again too, just to make sure that I'm not screwing anything up 2 to the right 3. And now I have 3 points. It's always nice to do a second one to make sure you didn't accidentally mess up, because 3 points will be a line. Any 2 points can give you a line, but if you mess up one of those points, you won't know unless you get a third point. So once I connect those points and just extend it to the edges of my screen that I'm given, my graph or whatever I'm supposed to sketch on, I always recommend extending all the way to the edge. Then I've got my line. Fabulous. Let's try it again. Now moving from the right to the left, the first thing I notice on this one that I've got a negative on the 5. So that means I'm going to go down 5, still on the y-axis. Y-axis is this vertical one, right? So starting from the origin, I go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is my starting point. And my slope here is going to be up 3 and to the right 2. So from this point, 1, 2, 3, up 3 and to the right 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I've got my 3 points. I connect them. Wow, it's hard to sketch this on my little computer screen, but sketch the edges of your screen and there you go. You've got your line. Now, what happens when there's a negative on the slope instead of a negative on the y-intercept? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, I'm going to do the plus 2 part. So that means I start at the origin and I go up 2. That is my starting point. Negative 1 over 4. Negative 1/4 I could think of as negative 1 divided by 4. That would mean down 1. If the top number represents the vertical distance, the vertical change, then a negative 1 would mean down 1. And to the right 4, because 4 is still positive. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I could also think of this fraction as being positive 1 over negative 4. So that would mean up 1 and to the left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how all 3 of these points lie on the same line. Like this effectively, both of those strategies effectively got me the right shape of my line. What you can't do, negative 1/4 is not negative 1 over negative 4. You can't go left and down because that would actually produce an uphill line. All right. What if we don't have a fraction? So now moving from right to left, I've got a negative 4. I'm going to go down here for 1, 2, 3, 4. It's my starting point, my y-intercept. And now my slope is just 3. So does that mean I just go up 3 and hang out there? No. 3, to make 3 a fraction, I can call it 3 over 1. So I've got my up 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right, 1. 1, 2, 3, and to the right, 1. And there's my line. Very steep. The higher that fraction is, the steeper the line will be. The closer that fraction is to 0, the flatter the line will be. Speaking of things with flat or very, very steep lines. Now, what if I don't have an x at all? My equation here is just y equals 3. There are a couple ways we could look at this. In this case, I'm looking for something mx plus b, right? And I notice that there's nothing on the x. So I could rewrite this as 0x plus 3. So I go up my 3, 1, 2, 3, that's my y-intercept, and I have a slope of 0. Up and down 0 and to the right 1. Up and down 0 and to the right 1. And if I sketch this graph, that's a line. This is indeed the line y equals 3. Let me show you another strategy on these where you don't have an x, or in the next case, we're going to see one that just says like x equals a number and we don't have a y. I'm going to think to myself, what are some points that I can think of that have a y coordinate of 3? Like, for example, 0, 3. How about 1, 3? How about 7, 3? Or negative 2, 3? I'm just going to plot those points and see what happens. All right. 0, 3. 1, 3. 7, 3. Negative 2, 3. Oh my word, would you look at that? They're all at a height of 3. If I connect all of those dots, I get a flat horizontal line at a height of 3. And this is indeed the graph of the line whose equation is y equals 3. Slope of 0, flat horizontal line. Let's try this one. Notice how this equation, if I'm trying to force this to equal y equals mx plus b, I'm trying to force this form out of it, I'm going to be plumb out of luck because there's no y. If I really wanted this to look, let's see, negative x plus 4. If I really wanted this to look like a y equals mx plus b line, I've got like a 0 y is equals negative x plus 4. And you notice how if I try and divide by 0 to make that y get alone, dividing by 0 is classically bad. Dividing by 0 is something you can never do. All right, never divide by 0. It's undefined. The further you go in math, you'll learn about how exactly dividing by 0 can give you nuanced different answers, approaching positive infinity, negative infinity, leveling off to be a number. But really what we need to know about dividing by 0 at this stage of the game is that it is unclear. I can't do it because there's not a single answer. So dividing by 0, always bad. And I can't force this kind of the equation to exist. So we've got to try that second strategy, which was let's list some points whose x coordinate is 4. For example, 4, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. How about 4, 3? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. How about 4, negative 1? And you notice how I'm going to get a line here? Let's do one more just for funsies. How about 4, negative 8? Bam. And I've got this vertical line right there. That is the graph that goes with the equation x equals 4. My very last example here is going to be one where we can get a y equals mx plus b form, but it is not obvious how to do that right from the get-go. In this case, we really do want to end up with y equals mx plus b in order to graph it, but we're going to do a little bit of algebra to get us there. I need y alone. That is the goal, to get y alone. So I'm going to start by subtracting the 2x. 3y equals negative 2x minus 12. I'm going to divide everything by 3. So those 3's cancel out on the left, and I get y equals, and now hopefully you know this about fractions. I've got to divide everything here. I could think of this as by negative 2x divided by 3 and plus negative 12 divided by 3, or minus 12 divided by 3 if you want to. That gives me negative 2/3 x minus 4. Now in this form, I should be easily able to graph this. Y-intercept of negative 4 and a negative slope. So I'm going to go to the right and down. To the right 3, 1, 2, 3, down 2. Or I'm going to go to the left and up. To the left 3 and up 2. And there's my line. All right, that's it for graphing lines. I hope you found this helpful. Be sure to check out my other videos, and thanks for watching.